I want to move on to this because this is something an idea that you have certainly talked about. Senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation and former Trump campaign senior economic advisor Stephen Moore wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal titled, "The Corporate Tax Cut is Paying for Itself. Faster than expected growth has produced a revenue windfall."
Sure.
What effect have you seen from the corporate tax cut?
Right. Well, I agree with Steve's math. And in fact, I don't know if you noticed, but I did the presser at the White House on Monday. And what I did, I said what Steve said, and it was based on hard calculations that I had done. And then there was this uproar by left-wing folks saying, oh, that's impossible, it's voodoo economics and stuff. Of course, none of them did the math. Steve just showed people the simple math that works, that the corporate tax side of this calculation is probably already about paid for itself. If you look at the kick to GDP that we've had this year, and then just assume that increment to GDP is there for the next decade, then you get more than enough revenue to cover the $400 billion cost of the taxes, of the corporate tax cut. Now, on the individual side, it might take a little bit longer because there's stuff there that is really good for families, but not necessarily good for short-term growth, like the child credit. And we're confident that we're going to get the growth that we need to help reduce the deficit, but it's clear that the corporate tax side is already just about paid for itself.
But what do you make, because you've been under fire by a left-leaning, even far left-wing economist about your vision of how the economy is doing. People have argued that you are massaging the numbers or ignoring certain facts just to benefit the president and his policies. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, if you look at the communications that I've had back to my lecture last fall on the tax cuts and what they do to the economy, it's been based on scientific evidence, peer-reviewed journals, some of the articles I've written myself. And you can always see my math. And if you disagree with me, show me your math. I find that the people who disagree with me tend to not do that and rather cast ad hominem attacks saying that, we're making the numbers up, as you just said. But I would encourage you, because you're a tough interviewer, bring people on the show and then start saying, okay, well, show me what they're doing wrong. Give me your numbers. And I think if you do that, you'll see that they don't have any. Well, and that's what you could tell from Steve's piece in the journal today.
I will show you my numbers because I walk around with a red folder with all of the economic numbers written on it, and I've gotten into screaming matches with people on the left on various programs about how healthy this economy is. Tell me how much wages are growing in this country and that they are indeed outpacing inflation.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we just put out a report at the CEA, which you could get at our website. You could Google it right away, that showed that if you account for benefit changes and the tax cuts, that real wage growth right now is the highest we've seen in years. It's about a little less than 1.5% per year. That's, again, after adjusting it for inflation. And that means about $1,000 per family. That's
incredible. And also, in terms of
this year alone,
it's incredible the fact that we're more than 9 years into an expansion and this economy has reached a higher growth plateau because of the president's policies, deregulation and the tax cuts, tax reform for corporations and individuals. And also, before we go, talk about the number of people who are signing up for new tax IDs as a sign of new business development, new businesses being started in this country.
It's skyrocketing. If you're going to start a business, you need a tax ID, and the tax ID applications are going up at a rate that I've never seen. Not only are they going up at a much faster rate than they were when President Trump took office, but they're accelerating. They're really going to the moon right now, and that's a sign that we've once again created a vibrant economy where businesses want to get going and operate it, and it's exactly what President Trump promised he would do.